We're back. ABJ, episode 2, How Wrestling Changed My Life. Thank you all so much for the love and support you've given me on episode 1. I'm shocked, honestly. I thought me just sitting in front of a microphone, spilling my guts about the struggles of almost quitting this journey and I did it so other people in the content space or creative space or anything can maybe relate to it, and maybe it gives them a little bit of motivation to keep going. And I got a lot of awesome feedback. A lot of people commented and said really positive, nice things. So that's really exciting. But we're here for episode 2. And this one's going to be How Wrestling Changed My Life. But before we get into that, make sure you guys are checking the links below to follow me on all social media. I am on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You can watch this full podcast, or you can check out the audio-only versions if you're driving in your car and you don't want to look at my face because it's not safe while you're driving. I am on... Hello?
They want you to start this coming Monday.
Perfect.
Okay, so I will be sending the assignment sheet, like with information for the start date. Okay.
Perfect. It's start class. Is start time at 6 or 6:30?
It's 6:30 to 3.
6:30 to 3. Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
I almost hung up on that. That would have been bad. All right. Links below for all social media. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. This podcast is also on YouTube, as well as the audio versions on Spotify and everything like that. So make sure you go and support both. 5-star review goes a long way. And then if you really want to support, as you see me rocking my Cult of ABJ t-shirt, it's got the cool little ABJ on the patch, and then the tag has the Cult of ABJ logo. I have a whole bunch of new merchandise over at Fourth Wall. I think it's Fourth Wall / ABJ 570, but don't quote me on that. The link will be below. But anytime you order something too, I send you a personalized message thanking you to do so. So I don't do the whole cameo thing, but if you like a cameo, go buy a t-shirt and I'll send you whatever you want. But let's get into it. So it's going to be kind of the same thing. If I never found wrestling, man, I honestly don't know where I'd be today. So I want to talk about how wrestling completely has changed my life from a fan to then chasing it and being a part of it. I'm going to be breaking this down into sections and stuff like that, and just kind of giving myself a key point. I kind of have a structure, and then I'm just going to kind of free flow based on each one. So I do have an idea, but I'm not fully, I don't write anything out. I just kind of have like, hey, I want you to touch on these 4 things and then go from there. Towards the end of the episode, Lily is kind of hanging out with me. She's going to be listening to the episode, and then she's going to be kind of gathering her own thoughts of this, and then she's going to ask some questions of maybe that you were thinking the whole time you were listening that maybe I missed out on, or maybe to dive deeper into something. So first is going to be first exposure and my first memory of professional wrestling. So my first memory, I remember sitting with my friend Billy, Big B, and we were watching... at the time, I still don't remember to this day. We just figured it out of what I was probably watching. I think it was like WrestleMania 3 or something, but it was the Rockers versus Tugboat and Earthquake. And the Rockers got crushed. They got absolutely annihilated. But I remember seeing Rockers come down through the crowd. It wasn't even through the crowd. It was just the entranceway. But in my little kid brain, it looked like they came through the crowd because the crowds are so much tighter to the ring and to the entranceway than they are now. And I just remember them like, man, these guys look super cool. And my dad was a DJ, and he loved classic rock. And these guys look like classic rockers. And I was just like, this is my team. I like these guys. So that was like the first thing that really pulled me in. I will honestly tell you, I was not a Hulkamaniac. I never had a moment where I was like, oh, Hulk Hogan is my... I was a Macho Man guy. I loved Mr. Perfect. I loved Rick Rude. I liked Roddy Piper. I liked all the bad guys. I just thought the bad guy characters were more entertaining to me. But yeah, so what pulled me in really was at first the entertainment, right? So like I I thought it was real, just like anybody else growing up, and I thought the fights were 100% like two guys going in there, and the competition aspect, and I understood sports, and I understood that like wins and losses and everything, but the stories, man, like it was beautiful, and then as I got older, definitely I learned not too far into it that like, because also like when you're a pro wrestling fan, you get the caveat of outside people, no matter what age, they have to always constantly remind you, it's not real, right? This is all fake, right? And like, as a child, you don't need to tell them that. Like, maybe a little bit to the aspect of like, hey, don't do this at home. What these guys are doing are professionals. Like, in that aspect, I get. But like, it wasn't done, and for most wrestling fans, especially my age or younger, it wasn't done to like be a protective thing. It was done to kind of like ruin or kind of be negative or just shit on something you love, and that sucks. Like, no one's out here bragging like, oh, this isn't real. There's a lot of things that aren't real, or I don't think are real, that people base their whole lives on, and I'm not going to get into all that right today. I'm sure if you know my vibe, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but that's kind of what it always came down to. I had like adults in my life or older kids who were like, you're watching that fake crap. Like, I was just like, yeah, and I like it. Leave me the fuck alone. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of the biggest obstacles of being a pro wrestling fan that you have to overcome, is the outside people just like trying to diminish it for you. But you don't let them. If you genuinely enjoy it because you like the athleticism, you like the storytelling, you like the character building, the pageantry to it, fucking enjoy it. It's beautiful. But yeah, just going into that, the characters, man. There was, at the time growing up, man, it was very weird. Like, there was barbers, there was thieves, there was clowns, there was zombies. Like, the characters were all over the place. Old school WWE, WWF, WCW. That I didn't really know too much about WCW. I was mostly a WWE kid, or WWF kid. But like, characters were all over the place. They were larger than life. They were like, everyone had like a job, and it was just, I don't know, it was weird. The energy was always just directly in your face. Every promo, people are screaming, and they're wet, and they're just muscled up to the gills. And the stories, like, looking back at it now, they're simple and they're funny, but they were so wild. Like, you lost the match, so I'm going to kick you in the face and throw you through a barbershop window. You were celebrating with my wife, and I seen you touch her butt, so we're going to fist fight over that. Like, it was just all over the place. And they were fun. They were so much fun. Jake the Snake sicking a cobra on Macho Man's arm. I was just, it fucking drew me in. Like, I absolutely loved it. And then collecting the toys, and then playing wrestling, and then, just being completely immersed in it. And sitting in my room and doing all of that was just something for me that is why it meant more than just the entertainment aspect. It was an escape for me. It was a way of like, oh man, I'm probably never going to be a really good basketball player. I'm never going to be a really good soccer player. I'm never going to be good at sports, but like, I bet you if I can get older and get bigger and stronger, or not even like get bigger or stronger, because like growing up, I watched Shawn Michaels, and a huge reason why I became a Shawn Michaels fan is because he wasn't as big as everybody else. Now, in my little kid brain and as an adult, I know Shawn was he was not in wrestling standards big, but he's bigger. He's still very good shape, and he was in a good size, but he looked realistic to me. He looked like achievable. So it was the escape of like, can one day I be a wrestler? Can one day I get in the ring and wrestle? And I mean, I wrestled with all my friends and family growing up, so I was always the one who took the heat. So I always got beat up. I always sold. I was always the crash test dummy because I was the youngest and the smallest. But yeah, it just definitely inspired me. And I remember, either playing with the toys or being in someone's room. We always sneak up and we wrestle on the bed, and I have broken with my cousins and friends, my cousin Jimmy. Oh my God, countless. I think we're double digits. We're in the double digits. There was not a bed frame in a house that was safe if me and my cousin Jimmy were there for more than 2 hours and you couldn't keep us entertained, because we were going to sneak away. We were going to find a bedroom, and we were going to beat the ever-living shit out of each other and jump off of dressers and just wrestle. And we would snap legs off of beds like it was going out of style. To the point where we had to kind of start wrestling outside because we were not allowed to wrestle indoors anymore because we broke so many beds. I remember we broke a bed in my attic, and this is going to be kind of like a twofold story. I don't know why I'm telling this, but I'm going to be honest. We found an abandoned house in Monty City growing up, and I'm 12, 13 years old. We go into this abandoned house and we're searching around, and it's just like a treasure trove. Like, you're finding all this stuff. It has been abandoned for years, and we come across a collection of adult magazines and movies and everything. And when you're 12, 13 years old and you stumble across this, you have just found the holy grail. Like, this is unbelievable. And I remember getting a bunch of magazines and a tape, and I sneak them back into my house, and I go up to because I had 2 rooms. I had the attic where I would hang out, and then I had my bedroom, which was on the 2nd floor. But I took all the magazines, and I lifted up the mattress, because I seen it in a gangster movie where they put all their money under the mattress, and I laid all the magazines out underneath so they didn't pile up or look like suspicious. So all the magazines were there. And my cousin Jimmy and I, a couple days later, I didn't even tell him I had them there. We're wrestling, and all of a sudden, boom, big slam, legs kick out. And we run outside and we find a brick. We bring the brick in, we lift up the bed and the mattress, and we slide the brick underneath. And around that time, my dad's like, what the fuck is happening? So he comes flying upstairs. He goes, what'd you just do? I'm like, nothing. And he goes, why is there a brick under the bed? And we're like, it broke. You're just fucking wrestling again. And he's like, let me see if I can even fix it. And he grabs the mattress and he's pissed. So when my dad, like myself, gets angry, you have to move things very forcefully and fast and show your test of strength. So he grabs the mattress and he flings it off the box spring, and it is just lined with nudie magazines. And my cousin Jimmy looks at me, and I'm just like Christmas Story. Oh, fudge. And my dad's like, get him out of here, stop fucking wrestling, and go downstairs and play go play your N64. So that was where wrestling and got me in trouble one time. But the creativity aspect, I remember getting the old school boombox, and it's funny that I remember being mad if I had to do this job, and honestly, it was such a good tool. Me and my friend Billy and a few other people, we would do like our own radio talk shows and radio station things. Fun, right? Here I am. But we would also like commentate wrestling matches that weren't happening. I just remember we would record it, and we'd be like, I would say what one guy was doing and he would say what the other guy was doing, but we had no idea what each of our vision was, and we would just we never listened to it back, we never studied it, but we just talked into a boombox and hit record and recorded our voices, or we would literally record matches if we weren't in them and have commentary, which is funny because that's eventually where I led. But it gave me an outlet to be creative. It gave me an outlet to understand character building and understand theater and understand art, and I wish growing up I would have put the two together, and I would have went into more theater of arts and less sports, because I feel like I would have saved my body a lot more punishment. But man, it was a creative outlet. I learned how to draw, I learned how to create, I learned how to use my imagination, I learned how to story tell, and learn how to act, and learn how to do all of that stuff as a young kid, because I was so passionate about professional wrestling. And it was an outlet. It's an art form at the end of the day. It is theater, it is physical theater. It was just so wildly important. It was more than just watching it on TV for us. It was, man, this is everything. Like, we want to collect everything. We had our own wrestling names. I was the Heartbreak Kid, Anthony Blackwell, or Tony Blackwell. I didn't like Anthony growing up. And my cousin Jimmy, I'm going to actually kind of dox him a little bit, but his name is Barrett. And he was J-I-M-M-Y, B-A-R-R-E-T-T. And if you're a Jeff Jarrett fan, he came up with his own Jimmy Barrett, Jeff Jarrett spinoff. So it was just huge for us, man. And then you'd find other wrestling fans, and it was a thing in school for a while. It was not cool to be a wrestling fan. You kept that shit on lock. You were not allowed to talk about it. You were not allowed to be a part of it. Until the Attitude Era. When the Attitude Era hit, man, everyone in school was wrestling fans. And if you had a Stone Cold t-shirt or a DX t-shirt or something like you were loved. And I was just like, oh my God, this whole time, that was the one time where I felt like I fit in there with everybody, because I was able to talk shop. I was able to talk wrestling with kids at school, and I was able to fit in more because of that. And I just remember it got so popular, and the shirts at the time were so vulgar and bad for children. We weren't allowed to wear wrestling shirts anymore in school. DX shirts, the Suck It, they were banned. I physically I got a detention, or I got written up, or sent to the office because, like, suck it. If they heard you saying suck it, fuck it. We didn't know what suck it was growing up. We were just like, yo, suck it. And they're like, yeah, it was not good. But yeah, it was huge. And those early stages are definitely something that was huge for me. And then I got older, and around high school-ish, I got out of wrestling. I was like, this really isn't for me anymore. I kind of listened to the outside sources, I'm going to be honest. The outside people kind of got in my ear of like, this is silly, this is stupid, you shouldn't be a fan of this, this is for little kids. And I was like, this could be further from, I guess because the Attitude Era went away, and then it went more to a PG area, and it was kind of catered more to children, and I got out of it. That whole ruthless aggression attitude, like that whole post-Attitude Era, I didn't watch really anything. I watched WWE by WCW. I remember watching that live, and then after that, it was kind of done for me. Like the video games were done. I did have a few moments in high school where my brothers, the littles, got involved with wrestling, and they were into it. And I didn't watch it weekly, but we played the SmackDown video games and made our own storylines, and we talked wrestling, and we always had a love and passion for wrestling. But it wasn't something like we sat down and watched pay-per-views or anything like that. I couldn't tell you what was going on. I just knew who was in the video games. And then UFC came around, and I was a giant UFC fan. And then I watched Ken Shamrock's first match. I was like, oh, Shamrock's a wrestling guy. And then I watched Severin, and I watched these guys who crossed over, and I was like, oh, this is neat, but this is the real aspect of it. And I fell in love with that art form. And then I started making content about 8 years ago, and then wrestling was like, oh man, that would be fun to talk about wrestling. I don't know how many people are actually talking about that. That'd be fun to kind of go back into and talk nostalgia. Fun fact, everyone's talking about wrestling in podcasts. But I was like, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to go to local shows, and I'm going to immerse myself, and I'm going to get into wrestling and talk with my friends and do these weekly podcasts where we just talk about what's happening on television. And it was so much fun. And I met so many cool people. I had a podcast where I actually had a local champion in Andy Hedder. Like, he was the Outbreak Wrestling champion, and he was sitting at our table week in and week out hanging out. I thought that was the fucking coolest thing ever, and he became a regular and a very close friend. We had wrestlers who would come on and call in, and then I became really cool with everybody. And then, like, I went to a PBW show, and they're like, hey, well, not just PBW, but I got kind of immersed in it. And it turned into, you want to be backstage interviews? Do you want to try commentary? Do you want to help with production? And I was in, and I was hooked. And then most of my personality going forward was pro wrestling. I became fully the pro wrestling guy again. I felt like I was a child. It gave me a shot of youth into my arm that I needed so bad. And yeah, it's so much fun. But I kind of want to pull the curtain back. I'm going to break kayfabe. I'm going to talk about things maybe the wrestling business wouldn't like, and I apologize. But this podcast isn't just for wrestling fans. This is just for people who are, like, even my interviews. People are like, I don't listen to your podcast because I don't like pro wrestling. I never wanted to be just a pro wrestling podcast. I wanted to break that fourth wall, and I wanted to show people that it's not just scripted dudes in their underwear beating up each other, and just kind of making it more than just what it's boiled down to. What made everyone hate it and made me not watch it, because it was like, it was frowned upon and looked at different, and I wanted to make it more than that. And I felt like there was no other way I can get people to give it a shot again unless I made it real. Unless I made it like, no, there's more to it than what you've always been told. The behind the scenes, what goes into this, what two talent do to when they get to a show. Like, I literally infiltrated it. I got behind the curtain. I was on the other side of the guardrail. I seen how the magic is made. I learned the sleight of hand. I learned how the cookies are made. And I'll tell you what, it's a double-edged sword. Once you learn and experience what I'm about to not fully break down, because I don't want to give away everything, but there's some aspects I will tell you. But once you learn it, it can ruin it for you. And so it's very dangerous territory. What we're getting into is like, will you lose the magic? Because, like, even me, like, I do my watch alongs, and I'll watch a match and I can see the referee talking, or I can see the way they're moving with each other or talking with each other. And I've never trained, but like, I can kind of see where it's going to go because you learn the form, right? So it's not just the matches, right? The biggest thing with professional wrestling, it is 100% a scene. It is a lifestyle. It is music. It is art. It is punk. It is traveling. It is it's the entertainment industry. It's art in its purest form. It's not just two people in a ring wrestling in a match, and that's all a wrestling show is. These people travel from all over the place. Some people travel 3, 4, 5 hours. Some people take plane rides from other states and countries to come to a tiny little fucking firehouse in the middle of fucking New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York for less than fucking $100 or $50 to show off their character and their art form and their personality and just try to be seen by some new eyes and faces. And it's beautiful. And like, you guys see a poster of two people wrestling and you think to yourself, oh, they've rehearsed this and practiced this and did this for months. And that's not always the case. There is situations where if you see, Draven Blaze, I'm just going to use some local stuff, like Draven Blaze versus the Joseph Jordan or Junior Soba. They train together, they work together. So yes, they have touched. Yes, they have figured it out. They talk on a more personal level. They work things out. They're at training class. They're practicing things, and those matches are good. But if you have two guys that are like, if you were to bring in, let's just say Sammy Chaos to a show, and she's going to work Riley Crow, they don't really work in the same places. They don't collaborate with each other very often. They don't really speak to each other, but they show up to a show. One drives an hour, one drives 3 hours. They show up, they get a little bit of ring time, so the ring gets set up. The fans, and no fans are here. The ring gets built, set up hours before a show. So if the bell is around 7, the ring is set up and prepared probably around noon, 1 o'clock. And then if you want to get there early, you can, but most people don't show up until much, much, much later, which is also another interesting dynamic. It's kind of like when the drummer shows up like 3 hours or 15 minutes before the set, and he has to set all of his drums up and do what he has to do. I might have an interruption here. She's going to see my truck and come up. Oh, okay. Never mind. Sorry. But so you would have that aspect of wrestling where they just have like a few hours of ring time. They go in there and they talk and they just go over certain things, but they don't even do like the full move. Like they'll do like a hoist up, like I'm going to pick you up, and then they just put them right back down. Like, yeah, and then we'll do this to this to this. And then within like 15-20 minutes, they have structured out their match. And a lot of it's just like playing chess. Like, oh, I know if I move this piece here, this piece has to go here to defend. And it's human chess. It's like, oh, by training, and this is what we're taught. This is how I do things. This is how this piece goes to this piece. And there's so many different levels to where people are in their chess mastery, where like some people still struggle across the board. Like, oh, if I put my piece here, what would be his defense? And but like the aspect of wrestling is there's actually no competition, right? So like, hey, if you do this, I have to do this, and I'll walk you through it and I'll help coach you. And you'll see matches where someone takes control of the match and they're essentially telling the other person what to do the whole time, and they're teaching them as the match is happening live in front of a crowd. Like, there's so many variables to a match that you don't even realize. Like, one person could be completely in charge, the other person is just as good listening, or there's someone who's brand new working a veteran, there's two brand new people, then you see how that works out because neither one of them are you're probably like, oh, this is going to be kind of not great, but let's see how they create their art. It's fun. There's a whole production side of things. That's usually where I step in. You have to set up your cameras, have your hard cam, set up your commentary, how the light's going to work. If they dim the lights because they want more of an intimate setting, is that going to mess with the cameras? The music guys, hey, here's all your music. Get your music in. This is the order of the music. This is the order of the show. Go in, show starts, you go in, do this, a promo, match, intermission. So there's a structure to a show on top of everything. And everyone has a role within wrestling. Even if your role is on backstage interview, hey, here's the structure for this show. Here's what's going to happen to next show. I need you to help tell that story in 2 minutes or less on a camera, so we can put it out online or put it in the production so people can hear the story. You're a ring announcer. You have to get everyone's information, their height, weight, where they're from, monikers, how they want their name announced, have all that prepared. Commentary needs your notes of sometimes they don't tell you who's winning, sometimes they don't tell you who's losing. They want the commentary to be kind of natural and free-flowing. But like selling the tickets, there's a ticket person. That person has a role. But everyone kind of knows like they're all part of the show, and sometimes those outside people, the actually who's winning, what's going to happen, there's people who are there supporting their kids, who are running the tickets, are part of the show and help set chairs up, who completely ignore the wrestling aspect because when the show starts they want to be a fan. And I think that's kind of fun too when you go to shows and experience that. But there's people who come out and grab gear, like the wrestlers take off all their gear and they leave it in the ring. You don't want fans to swipe that. Some of that stuff's really expensive. And then you have to go to Lily because now she got a machine and now she's going to make you new gear because some fans stole your shit. But no, there's someone who comes out and takes your gear and takes it to the back so your stuff is safe. There, you know what I mean? Stuff like there's so many different roles that people don't even realize. There's doctors. You have to have a doctor there, depending on your state. But there's just, and there's so many moving parts to a wrestling show that like, once you see that aspect of the business, you gain that small appreciation without even learning the actual stuff. But yeah, like I'll kind of break down some more roles for you. So wrestlers, they're your performers and your storytellers. They're the main ones who are out there that you're paying the ticket to see, that you're all about, that you want to follow, buy their merchandise. They're the stars. If you're in between the ropes and you're wrestling, you are a big part of the show. You're the catalyst. You're the ones everyone's there for. Your referees, they're your flow. They're your communication. They're the communication from the wrestlers to each other, the wrestlers to the timekeeper, which the timekeeper is, we'll get into that, to your people in Gorilla, stuff like that. Gorilla is the position either behind the curtain or somewhere close that are people keeping track of what's going on so they can keep time of the show or make sure everyone's safe. So like if someone takes a really bad bump, the referee not only has to count or find out who wins, but they're generally checking on the safety and well-being of the performers. And they have the end-all be-all to stop it, even though it's predetermined, even though it's not. I don't want to keep saying it's fake because it is disrespectful, and I don't like saying it. But like, it's not real combat. It's not real. But they're taking real bumps. They're taking real slams. They are always centimeters away from landing wrong and really hurting themselves, paralyzing themselves, breaking a bone, ripping ligaments, or death. And I'm not trying to oversell that. You can die doing this. You can jump off the top. You can not even jump off the top rope. You can take a clothesline. You can take a back bump where you fall down, and if you don't fall properly and you land too high in your neck or something along those lines, you can break your neck and die. And that can happen at any point in time. And that's where the training and your referee need to be there. We have some situations just recently had online where referees see people get hurt and our referees get hurt and no one really saves them. And it's just like wrestlers are in the mode where you're kind of taught that old school mentality of keep the show going, work through your match. And it's just like, you don't have to do that no more. If you're wrestling for less than $50 in a gym, in a bingo hall or a fucking firehouse, if you shatter your ankle, get the fuck out of the match. We literally thought a guy really hurt his ankle, but he was selling or working, and we ripped him out of the match. And he was angry about it. But we're like, no, dude, like you're too tough for your own good, and we need to remove you from the situation. That happens. But yeah, so referees are very, very crucial. And shout out to you referees. I love you guys to death. Commentary, that's me. We are we're guiding the audience, but not so much guiding the audience that are in there in attendance. Now, we do get lucky, and there are fans who like the commentary, and they like to sit close to commentary so they can hear us. But we're mostly for the YouTube. We're mostly for the wherever it gets posted later for people to enjoy. But we're telling the story sometimes, or we're being funny or entertaining or just doing anything to keep you entertained. I have a voice going on of covering what you're watching. It is a very old school mentality of like, is commentary needed when you watch football? You can kind of visually see it, but sometimes they break stuff down that you're not like, it's hard though, right? So like football commentary, their job is to be like, oh, I think he's going to run the ball here. And they're kind of like spoiling it before it's happened because the commentary wants to come off as informed and teaching you. But wrestling, we can't do that, right? We can't be like, well, I think he's going to do this now because you're ruining it. You're ruining the art form. So it's very tricky being a commentator of toting the line of being a traditionalist, but also trying to be different and try something new and try something entertaining, but not get in trouble for not being a traditionalist. I struggle with that very often because I don't want to be like every other commentary you've listened to. When you listen to a match that I'm on, I want you to be entertained, whether it's funny, whether it's making you mad, whatever. I'm trying to invoke emotion because the wrestlers are working hard to do that too. So I'm trying to add to that. And sometimes people think I'm going in the business for myself, but yes, I'm a brand. I was hired to be there because of my brand, and my brand brings people like you that are watching. And now you're going to go watch my commentary and be like, well, I'm here because I'm listening to ABJ, and now I'm a fan of these wrestlers. Now I like this promotion, and that's what my job is to do. That's why I'm in this. This is why I like it. production. So we have timing, music, backstage, camera work, camera people. They're the people who are kind of the lifeblood of the business. I'll also add a production ring crew. Ring crew are the end all be all. No one likes setting up rings. No one likes setting up chairs. No one likes breaking them down after a show. No one likes cleaning. But the ring crew, they are key. You are the lifeblood of the business. You show up, you carry all the heavy boards in, you carry all the posts in, you carry the guardrails, you carry the chairs, you set everything up for people who show up, wrestle, and don't help you break it back down later, and that's annoying and it sucks. You have timing, so people who keep track of the show. Like, hey, we start at 7:00. We need to be out of here by 10. We have 9 matches, or sometimes 27. We need to get these matches in, out, and done. So wrestlers need to keep their time when they're performing. Sometimes they lose track of time. So the production team will tell the referee, you got 2 minutes. They have a little earpiece in, and they have 2 minutes. Or they'll look over and they'll be like this, 2 minutes, wrap it up. Get it going. Tell them to get to the finish of the match because we're running out of time. So they're keeping the time. Your music people are making sure they play the right song so the right wrestler comes out. Your backstage is just a locker room. They clean things up. They go and grab hey, you guys are next. Come out here. Hey, your match. This just happened. So they're kind of like agents. There's backstage agents that say, hey, what's your match? Okay. I think for the storytelling and what I talk to the people, I think they want you to go in this direction. So maybe we're not going to tell you how to do your whole match, but just hit these beats, make sure these are the ways it goes down, and you're good. They're also working with your promoters and bookers, and they're the ones that put it together. The promoters are the ones who promote the show, pay the money, and sometimes bookers and promoters are one and the same. Sometimes a good promoter will hire a better booker who understands the storytelling, but some promoters are just wrestlers who have become promoters, bookers, and wrestlers themselves. So there's some shows where the guy in the ring wrestling is also the booker. He's putting his money in so everybody else can perform in front of these people. He's the booker. He got the venue. He did everything. She, whoever it may be, did all that work. But they're also still performing. So which is an interesting aspect, because if they go out and hurt themselves in their match and they have to get rushed to the hospital, now you have a show with no booker. And you have no promoter, and who's going to get paid, and who's going to tell the venue when we're, there's a lot going on, a lot of variables. But man, these are the aspects of wrestling that you don't understand, or you may not understand, but kind of pulling back the curtain. Things that I've learned is that storytelling to me matters more than the moves. You can do 450s and super flips and all that, and sure, the fans are going to be like, oh, that was really cool, and they flipped around a lot, and they did really exciting things, or they hit really hard, but a fan will remember more when you engage or interact with them, or do something more on the lines of a moment, or something funny or scary, or more than they're going to remember any of the matches. Timing and emotion is huge. Timing in a match is crucial. Like, if you just rush to get to your next move, to your next move, to your next move, to your next move, and you don't stop for a second and let the audience feel what you just did, or give the audience a look, or work with your emotion, or work with the energy of the room, you could be one of the best wrestlers in the world, but if you don't know how to work a crowd, you lost it. And that happens more than you know. Some people are really good, and they're very athletic, and they can do the craziest shit, and they're so talented. But the character aspect, the timing, the reading the room, to feeling the energy, to telling that story in the ring of being like, all right, cool, I'm better than this guy at this aspect, and I need to sell that I'm better than him at this, but he's better than this than me, and then how are we going to tell that story, convey that this is my strength and this is his strength and this is my weakness, this is his weakness, and how do we make that without telling the audience, this is what we're going to do? You have to show them without telling them. That's important. And how everything connects is so big. And commentary really made me appreciate that more, because I have to then convey that sometimes to the audience, or embellish it, or make it stronger than it is by saying like, oh my God. Like, great example of a show that'll be on YouTube soon for RWE was Philly Mike Swanson versus Richie Ruiz. And I'm terrible with Spanish names. I'm sorry, Richie. But Richie's more of a ground fighter. He's more of he'll take you down, shoot a double, MMA style fighter. And Philly Mike is just like a unpredictable, I'll poke your eye out, pull your hair, spit on you, take you outside the ring and street fight you. But in between the ropes, Philly Mike was getting smoked. He was getting dominated. But when Philly Mike took the match to the outside, that was his territory. He made it ugly. He made it gritty. He made it tough. Richie tried to hit him. He ducked. He punched the pole. Now Richie's hands hurt. He can't grab submissions as tough. Now they're not telling the audience that, but me as the commentator seeing the story they're telling. And sometimes, most times, the wrestlers don't come up to us on commentary and say, "Hey, this is what we're gonna do tonight," which is not always a bad thing, because if we're doing 12 match cards and every single person wants to remember 35 beats of their match and they're banking on me to do it, I'm not going to remember. I'm not. So I've built that trust and respect with promoters, bookers, and wrestlers, that they can come up and tell me a little bit, but they're just trusting on me to do my job, and I trust them to do theirs. And there's that trust factor. They trust me to kind of make fun of them. They trust me to pick on them a little bit. They trust me knowing that I'm not really doing it to be hateful or vengeful. It's just trying to be letting me do my art while you do yours. And I respect that, and I love that more than anything. But the fan interactions and meeting talent. So like when meeting wrestlers as real people is tricky sometimes. Sometimes wrestlers don't allow you to meet them. You are meeting the character. You're not meeting who's a character I can they wouldn't be mad if I said their real name, and Schultz. John Schultz. You meet John Schultz, he's soft-spoken, he's funny, he can be very sweet, sometimes very vulgar, but it's in his humor sometimes. But when you meet J.S. Hawthorne, you're meeting an enigma. You're meeting a very boastful, a very proper, a very debonair person. It's a different voice. It's a different style. The way he carries himself, his chest, his facial expressions, and when he's at a show, he's that character. You're meeting J.S. Hawthorne, so that's kind of fun. And sometimes there's that barrier at wrestling where the fans, they want to be on the other side. They want to meet their favorite wrestler as their person and not the character. And my advice is don't do that to yourself. Enjoy it. Enjoy what they're working for. Enjoy what they're selling. If they're bad, enjoy them for being bad. You can pull them aside and be like, "Hey, I like what you're doing. Keep it up." And they may not even acknowledge that. They'll be like, "Go away from me." You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, but that's part of the show. How it feels like wrestling shows when you go to a WWE event or a big television event versus the independent scene, you're almost guaranteed you're going to meet your favorite wrestler that night. Like, they're going to walk around, you're going to be able to interact with them, talk to them, buy merchandise from them personally. Where WWE and the big shows, they're behind lock and key. You're only going to meet them unless you pay big money to meet them. You don't have those interactions. All you really have is just like if they post something on social media or let you in on their personal socials. But independent shows, man, you can really grow with people and develop friendships and stuff like that, and become friends with them and watch them tell their story and their art and change their character from promotion to promotion, and follow them across state lines and see them perform. And there is that respect between fans and talent for that. And we do have some of the best fans ever. Like, we just recently lost an amazing fan. I don't know should I put the name out? I don't know, but you know who you are, and everyone knows. We just lost an amazing fan. He was such a good dude, man. He came and supported. He actually bought one of my T-shirts, and as a commentary person, like, who the fuck cares about me, or a content creator? But they were so fucking sweet, and we have so many of those that people come and they support us and they love us, and they travel all across fucking state lines and follow us everywhere and support and come show to show, and it's beautiful. But sometimes fans get a little creepy and disrespectful. Sometimes more with the female fans, or sometimes you're working. I'm going to kind of say the ugly stuff here too. It's not always peaches and rainbows, but sometimes you have fans who, let's just say they're in their political echo chamber, and then they come to a show and they see a person of color or a person of the LGBTQ community, and they have that old school wrestling mind state where they can yell and scream whatever they want, and they start yelling slurs, because back in the old school day of wrestling, that was kind of accepted and it was kind of leaned into with characters. That is not the case anymore. Please do not do that. Female talents, if you see them, hello, how you doing? Handshakes. Let me get your photo. It's not prom. Don't put your arms around them. Don't touch them by the waist. Don't grab them. Don't touch them unless they give you permission to. Don't compliment their bodies. They don't need that. Just be a fan. treat them like you would treat a male talent. You wouldn't walk up to a male talent and be like, man, I love your thighs. Your butt looks great in those. Then don't do it to a female. Respect them as if they're in there working just as much. Once again, female wrestlers back in the day were sexualized and glorified for that. And they're not that anymore. Sure, some of them are sexy. Some of them are beautiful. Some of them still sell sex in their characters. But they're in the same aspect of the dudes. They are working, they're grinding, just as they were back there, but they weren't taken as seriously by promoters and companies or the TV companies, because the TV companies set the tone of kind of what we do in the business of like how things are kind of done, and it's hard to break those stigmas, because if it's allowed and okayed on TV, then how do we not allow it on the independent scene? And sometimes that's a clash as well. But you realize quick that these characters and these moments and these wrestling things are more than just characters. They're more than just wrestlers. They're more than just people in production. We're all people who are trying to chase something bigger than us. We're all like, even me, the referees, the promoters, the bookers, they would love to get a call from the higher ups or make enough money to go and make this their full-time job or perform on television or to book on television, to be a part of a creative team, to be on the commentary team, to be a backstage interviewer. Everyone's working to get to that next level. And that's the beautiful thing about this journey, is that sometimes your favorite wrestler is now on television. Like this guy right here, my Fightertainment poster. You're looking at it right there. There's Journey Burke. There's Marcus Mathers. There's Tony Deppen. There's Veda Scott. There's Speedball Mike Bailey. At the time, Janela was AEW and now back. Marcus Mathers is now a WWEID prospect. He's signed. Speedball Mike Bailey was a champion in AEW. His tag team partner is now a singles competitor. He's on TV every single week, wrestling on pay-per-views, traveling the world doing this and getting paid for it. So that's awesome when you're friends, and Veda is like right on the brink of being signed as a commentator and as a female commentary. There's not a place on television you could turn on television and hear a female commentator. And I think Veda is going to be that person. So I'm excited for them too. Sorry, I don't want to assume. I don't know what Veda's pronouns are, but AFAB, right? AFAB. Yeah, female signed at birth. But yeah, I'm super excited for them. I would love for that to be a thing. And that's the thing. Like, even though you don't make it to that next level, you're rooting for your peers too. And every single time you're there, you're like, man, why are you not on that next level? You're so good. And then sometimes people from the top level come down and support us or come and work shows with us. The grind is so cool. And like I said, coming down and seeing something from the TV side of things to the indie scene, or watching the indies go to TV, is super fun. And that's kind of an exciting thing with the wrestling shows, where like, hey, this show we're going to bring in this name, and more fans flock because they want to see this name, and then they leave bigger fans of the name because they got to see new talent, and using someone's clout chasing, I guess you would say, or using their stature to bring in new fans to be like, I used to watch them on TV, now they're local to me, I want to come see the show. And now I'm leaving a fan of insert wrestler name here because he stole the show because he performs so well. There's people like the Dakodiak. I shouldn't say this. This is where I'm playing character, but I'm gonna break kayfabe again here. Vincent Michaels is one of the best heels in the Northeast wrestling scene, and I'm only saying that because we get to work with him at two companies in the Northeast, with RWE and WTW. But his heel work is unbelievable. He will make the crowd fucking hate him. He is such a scumbag, such a piece of shit. But behind the scenes, I love him. He works so hard. He grinds. He's trying. He just came back from a European tour in London. Like, he travels from school to school to school to get more education from different trainers and different people to try to evolve his game and get to the next level. And that is so much why I love this business. Perception versus reality. Sometimes, not every weekend when we tell you we're going to play wrestling, it's glamorous. Sometimes you're driving 4, 5, 6 hours to a show. I have never personally have driven longer than 4, but it happens. You drive 4 hours to a show, you work 12 hours. So from me, from a commentator standpoint, I'm not saying that my job is harder than anybody else, but I have a lot to memorize. I have a lot of improv. I'm using my voice a lot. Sometimes I have to do a promo. Sometimes I have to do backstage interviews. Sometimes I'm creating content. Sometimes I'm doing the ring announcing and commentary. So it takes a toll on your voice. But also, I'm working the whole show. If it's a 2-hour show and 16 matches, guess who's not getting a break? Guess who can't get up and pee? Guess who cannot, interact with the fans and grow his brand on intermission because I'm going to try to use the bathroom real quick or get a drink or get something quick in my stomach because I'm dying out. That's me on commentary. But wrestlers, they go in, they wrestle 9 to 10 minutes. They're done for the night. Go interact. Go sell their brand. Go do what they got to do. But working smaller crowds. Sometimes you go to a show, you got 20 people there. Sometimes you got 15. Sometimes you got less. And everyone, you kind of look around, you're like, how am I getting paid tonight? Because they made no money. And boy, I worked really hard and I performed. But realistically, if I keep taking money from someone who sold 10 tickets at a show and I like working for that person and I want to watch them grow and I want to watch this promotion grow, if I take that money from him, he's going to go in the hole and he's never going to run a show again. And this venue has a lot of growth. This venue could be cool. This town's really fun. We just need to do better as performers and promoters to make it so people want to come. So you have those aspects too of if the grass isn't always greener, but it's greener where you water it. Sure, you can go and work all these big promotions and you're going to be a small fish in a big pond, or you can stay at the smaller ones and watch them grow and develop with them and turn into something bigger. Sometimes you go into places and your venue's not the prettiest. It's a 1-bathroom situation with 75 people who have to share it. So if you don't use the bathroom before the fans get there, it is a fucking disaster by the time you leave. Sometimes there's no food at a venue. Sometimes there's no drinks at a venue. Sometimes there's no air conditioner. Sometimes there's no heat in the dead of winter. And you're in the elements while you're indoors. Sometimes you're outdoors and you're in the elements. You're doing commentary in the blazing hot sun for 12 hours and you're sunburned and you're blocked. Sometimes try to think of other things that are not very glamorous about professional wrestling. Oh, you have rough fans. Sometimes people overstep boundaries or personal space. Trying to think of anything else that's not glamorous. Sometimes you have bad people in your locker room. Sometimes you have people in your locker room who shouldn't be in locker rooms. Sometimes there's people that are working your shows who morally you don't see eye to eye with or have done things that you don't like. And you're like, well, boy, I don't want to work the same show with a person who has done this. And that sucks. That's really hard. That's sometimes the hardest thing for me. Passion over money is a big one. It's hard to go and work for free. I know I'm very tough on the money side because I worked for free for a very, very long time and I don't have a lot of money. And sometimes those shows for a lot of us is our gas way home. There's been times where I've went to shows. I was like, all right, I don't have a lot of gas. I'm probably not going to eat today. And Lily's been a part of this journey too with me for a long time where it's like, I want to be a good boyfriend and I want to support her and I want to be there for her. And she was struggling with jobs and money. And it's not a big deal for me to go to a show and not eat or not drink and work my ass off and come home and try to figure out when I get here. But I don't want to put somebody else through that. I don't want somebody else to go 12 hours with me for a day and not eat or drink or have to struggle. But she's a trooper, man. She's about it. She supports me. She wants to be part of this grind. She understands it too, and she's willing to do it. And that's not an easy thing to ask to somebody. And I'm very thankful for them for doing that. But Mania weekend, we both weren't working. We went to Philadelphia for almost 3 days and had enough money to maybe one of those 3 days. And one of those 3 days, I think dinner and lunch was energy drinks that were given away for free by C4 at a wrestling show. That was our only substance for the day. Oh, and then we found a box of pizza that was left in a locker room, and I think I had a slice of that.
No, we got pizza. We ordered the pizza after.
No, I'm saying the day of the at the show, I think there was pizza in the back, and it had it was a topping I wasn't even into, and it was old and stale, and I think someone took a bite of it and put it back, but I haven't eaten in a day and a half, so I ate it. Sorry. But yeah, those days are tough. The wrestling, and the only reason we got pizza when we got home is because Suplex paid very well that day, and I'm very thankful for them. But to get there, I had to bank on getting the money. But sometimes you're not going to get that. And once again, passion over money. Do you want to chase this dream? Do you want to earn your spot? Because no one's just going to walk in and be like, okay, you deserve this money. Sometimes you have to work for it. Sometimes you work for it for a few shows. Sometimes you may not get anything. It's tough. It's really tough. And you have, like, essentially at the end of the day, especially from a commentary standpoint or a wrestling standpoint, is someone paying the price of admission to see you? Is someone walking in the door wearing your t-shirt supporting you? And if the answer is no, it's hard for you to justify your, like, I want more money. I want to raise. I want, like, if you're not selling 25 tickets at the show, you're probably not going to get bigger money on the show for someone who is, because at the end of the day, the people who draw the more money and the people who are the bigger draws get the more money. This is why I really work hard to get you, the listener, to watch, support, comment, like, and subscribe to their pages, because that's how I show my value. But yeah, reasons why I respect it is just the appreciation. I appreciate what the talent does. I appreciate what everyone goes through to do this. The understanding of the business, making connections, making friendships and relationships with people is my favorite part of this. I have made lifelong friends. When you're in the entertainment industry, it is so much different from every other form of life, of job, of friendships, of connections. And then you add the element of professional wrestling onto it, which is everything I said before about sometimes you're playing a character, sometimes you're not, sometimes you're doing this, sometimes you're doing that. Some of these people are putting themselves in the most vulnerable positions to go and tell art. People that aren't comfortable in their bodies. Some people who don't really like their bodies, and they're out there in almost their underwear performing for you. And then they come in the back and they get made fun of by their friends for their body. And or the fans talk shit about their body while they're out there, because fans do that. Like, it's such a vulnerable thing to put yourself out there and to perform and to be open for the criticism, to be open for the heckling, to be open for the praise. And when you're in the trenches together and you're all working together at it, you want to protect each other. Like, yo, don't say that. But then also, like, you want to play into the character, because that person might go sell a t-shirt later because he got made fun of. It's weird. It's a weird dichotomy. Yeah, I love it. But let's get into pretty much the reason why we're here, the bigger impacts. It led to the huge part of my content creation. This is why it's changed my life. It led to a huge aspect of my content creation. It led to me doing watch-alongs and live streams and having Discord communities where we just talk wrestling. And then that has also led into, like, horror movies and all the other passions and stuff I'm into. Because most wrestling fans, I'm not saying this derogatorily, but we're nerds. We're pop culture nerds. Wrestling is pop culture. If 9 times out of 10 if you're a pro wrestling fan, I can sit down and talk horror movies with you. I can talk anime with you. I can talk music with you. I could talk sports with you. I can, like, there's so many avenues and so many things at wrestling shows, because everyone's connected through everything, because wrestling is it's a gateway drug for pop culture. It really, it's the best way to describe it. You're gonna be into it. You're gonna be into other things, and then you find more of your tribe and more of your people. It helps shape my mindset. Wrestling has made me so much mentally stronger than I can even imagine. It is such a life lesson, man. You go there and you make yourself vulnerable. You put yourself out there. You work a character. You learn psychology. You learn how to read a room. You learn how to read people. You learn how to go through these situations and these things. And if you can work a wrestling crowd, you could probably navigate life a lot easier too. Like, if you learn the world of wrestling, the real world is easy. The real world's fake. Wrestling's hard. Wrestling's real. It really is. I've used wrestling techniques at jobs, with coworkers, with people on the street. I've learned how to de-escalate situations or escalate situations because of wrestling. It's an art form. It's a psychology degree. It's a little bit of everything. It's unbelievable. And I'm very proud that when people associate ABJ and associate Anthony Blackwell, Tony Jr., any name I'm going by at any point in time, I would almost guarantee the first thing, if you were making a bio sheet of who Anthony Blackwell Jr. is, who ABJ is, one of the first 3 things they're going to say is pro wrestling. I think I've made myself, it's become part of my identity. You think me, you think wrestling. And if it's not the first thing, it's definitely in the top 3. I have been the pro wrestling guy now for a very long time. Friends, family, people send me videos That's another thing I love too. I get videos sent to me, and please, if you follow me on social media, you can send me stuff. If you find something on the internet that you think is really entertaining or cool, send it to me. I would love to see it. If it made something you feel a certain type of way, please send it to me. I like when people send me reels. I'm not even gonna look over because I'm sure she's staring at me because I don't always look at her reels. But I like when people send them to me. Sometimes not my girlfriend's, but I like reels. I like when people send what they're passionate about, because a lot of it's sometimes wrestling, and it's fun when I get to say like, "Oh, that's a friend of mine. I've worked him." If you look another reel, I'm probably doing commentary on that match. That's exciting. I'm happy that my identity has become wrestling and has become the local independent scene, and sometimes people think of the scene I'm in as that's the ABJ scene. Like, that excites me. Like, when, hey, I'm going to Northeast Pennsylvania, there's a 75% chance I'll be working with Anthony. Or, I was that way in New Jersey for a while, like, where people are like, oh, and I'm growing and I'm getting invited to other places, and I love it. And I'm happy that wrestling has accepted me. I'm happy that wrestling has welcomed me. I'm happy to consider myself one of the boys in the back. That's not an easy thing to do as a commentary, as a content creator. This business is protected. Not everyone can just come in. And when you come in, you got to work hard for it. And I'm thankful that this business has welcomed me, has accepted me as one of their own. I've made friends with people who are on TV, people who are legends, people who are soon to be legends. Wrestling didn't just entertain me. It helped shape who I am. Without wrestling, there's no ABJ. 100%. The reason I go by the 3-letter acronym is because every wrestling company has a 3-letter acronym: WWE, AEW, WCW, ECW, GCW, ABJ. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to close it out here. Do you have anything questions-wise that I can pose to you? Oh, all right. You don't want to say them? So Lily's questions. Do you think if you went into theater, you would have stuck with it, or was that too feminine? Interesting. Probably at the time in high school, because of the barriers, and if you weren't an athlete or you weren't a jock, it was tough to stand out in my school. I probably wouldn't have stuck with it. I honestly, no. I think if I would have got into it and I would have found my community and I would have found my people, and I think this goes for anything. Once you get into a scene, if you're afraid, and I don't really have a younger fan base, but this can go for anybody. I want to do this. I want to get into this, but everyone around me is going to think I'm weird for doing it. Let those people think you're weird, because the second you go in and you find your people and you find your tribe and you find that sense of community, you're going to fucking block all of that negativity out. So I generally think if I would have gotten a theater and I would have got into arts, I would have been picked on for a while for it, but I think I would have found people within it and I would have fell in love with it and those people, and I wouldn't have cared what people thought. So yeah, I'd like to think so, but definitely, yeah, it was definitely deemed as like a feminine, don't do that. But I also played soccer my whole life, and I was called gay for being a soccer player, but I loved it, and there was nothing you were going to get me to talk me out of playing it. So I think if I would have went in and actually gave it a shot, I would have definitely stuck with it. Thank you for that. Another question from Lily, the panel here. For being someone who didn't fit in at a young age, when did you actually start not giving a fuck about fitting in? About a year ago. I mean, I don't know. It's always been a struggle and a battle, and every time you change your scene, you're going to go through it. But I think when I met the littles, when I met, my brothers, I think when I really stopped giving a fuck, because I felt like I had friends who had my back. I had friends that if push came to shove and things were going to get to a physical level, I had people who were willing to throw down with me, and vice versa. And they just made me feel like I didn't need to give a fuck what other people said. I had a strong friend foundation. I had family. I had security. And that's when I really stopped caring. And then it became more of I cared about what they thought, which, bit me in the ass sometimes. But at what point did you realize you can ruin the scene for everyone else watching, and what brought you into the commentary side?
And did it lead you to going into commentary?
Oh, and did it lead me going into commentary? So I realized I can ruin the scene for people when I was bringing people like you in, when I was bringing like my ex in, when I was bringing your kids in, when I was doing watch-alongs, and I was meeting wrestling fans who were pure wrestling fans and didn't understand the business. And we would be watching. It happened plenty of times. I think Lily realistically doesn't do a lot of the wrestling content with me in the watch-alongs and the pay-per-views because I probably ruined on her too many times and it pisses her off, so she quit. Huh?
I never get to enjoy a match.
Yeah, because I'll be like, oh shit, oh he's not really hurt. He'll be right back in. Or see how they're hiding and they're peeking. They're gonna come in and make a save. But to me, it just comes out because I appreciate that they're doing that. It's not me trying to ruin it. It's me just pointing out, oh, this is going to be a cool spot because I see it coming. And I've learned during my watch-alongs and my commentary that probably a reason why I don't have a lot of fans is because I'm too smart for some wrestling fans in some aspects. And I'm not trying to brag or be that person, but just shut the fuck up and be one of them. Be one of us. And just enjoy it the way they enjoy it. And what brought me into commentary? For a long time, I didn't feel like I was good enough to be on commentary. I kind of talked about this in my podcast with the Kilowatt on You Go Watch on High Tension, that I worked with people when I first got into it that were like really popular independent scene people in Camp Leapfrog, people who were like coming from bigger promotions who had establishments and names and everything like that. And there was people doing commentary there who were also established and very well known. Some of them are now on TV. And I was just like, I can't jump into this commentary scene. Who the fuck am I? I don't deserve that. I don't deserve to be on camera because I haven't earned it yet. And then eventually it got to the point where like, no, you're going to fucking do it. We're going to put you in that position and that's what your job is going to be. And then I did it and I fell in love with it. So it was kind of for a while I fought doing commentary. And then once I started doing it, I loved it. But then there's also like the battles of commentary of like, once again, not caring what people think because I do. And sometimes people are like, well, I don't like your style. I don't like the way you're doing it. And then I would try to change it and be more traditional. And then I'm bored. I'm literally at a show and I'm just like, arm drag. Wow, he's doing so good. Look at him go. He's really working the arm. Great clothesline. And I felt like my show sucked because I wasn't being me. And then once again, I had to stop caring what people fucking thought and just do what I do. And if you don't like me, simple, don't book me. I'll stay home. I'll live stream a wrestling show. I don't need to be. I love the independent wrestling scene, but if tomorrow it turned around and said, hey, you're not for us, your style's not our thing, you need to go away, or don't come, or you're not welcome to be a part of us, I would still go and watch shows and support shows and watch them on YouTube and support independent wrestling. I don't like it. It's not an end all be all for me. I actually wish I was able to watch more wrestling, sit at home and watch wrestling because it's hard because I consume so much wrestling that it's hard to support sometimes the smaller companies. I think me taking a step back and not really watching as much WWE has allowed me to have more time to watch more things like Mystery Wrestling and GCW and stuff on other platforms. And once I get caught up more financially and have more of a stable job situation and financial situation, I would get Fight TV back and independent wrestling, IWTV back and merge myself in more wrestling content. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. If you guys have any questions that you want me to answer on the next episode, comment them below. Shoot me a DM. I will jot them down and I will put them towards the end of every podcast episode and give you a shout out. Lily was my first test run doing this, so thank you, Lily, for sitting in here being bored, listening to me talk to myself for 50 minutes. But I appreciate you all so much. The next episode is going to be... I have them all structured out here. I have a lot. Just give me a second. I have to scroll. I will be dropping these every Wednesday. I'm going to try weekly. If I start falling behind, I'm sorry. I'm human. I have a lot of things going on. But I'm going to try my best. But I'm going to try to do these every Wednesday. And keep these going. 5 questions will be every Friday and Monday until I run out of space, and then it just goes either to a Friday or a Monday because it's hard to keep 3 pieces of content going every week. I am going to start doing live streams again, so please be patient with me. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't because I rather just sit in bed and hang out with Lily because that was a thing too I talked about before is I have to be more conscious about working with the people around me instead of making everything about my content. So if I miss some days, I'm okay. I just needed to prioritize and put my life first. So I think my next episode is going to be the cost of being fake is my next episode. So I think that's where I'm going with it. I think I had it all laid out. I don't remember. We'll figure it out, people. But just tune in next week. Comment below. Follow me on all social media. And we'll see you all next time. We're out of here.